AMD's acquisition of Xilinx may prove to be a strong catalyst for even more growth on top of the massive numbers we've been seeing in recent quarters from AMD. In this video, we're going to take a look into this acquisition in a bit more detail, while also examining some of the risks involved as well. I've been buying into AMD recently on the thesis that their shocking growth, including numbers like 221% EPS growth year over year, hasn't really been priced in yet, giving us an opportunity for a relatively safe and solid 30% or more. If you want to learn more about my thesis, please check out this video up here and also link down in the description. One of the most rapidly growing segments for AMD has been data centers lately, as they continue to devour market share from their main CPU competitor, Intel. Xilinx, who has their toes kind of dipped in numerous markets with numerous product offerings, is primarily well known for their FPGAs, which stands for Field Programmable Gate Arrays. If you've ever been a PC gamer, you're probably familiar with the demands that like the newest, most high-tech, high-demand games put on your system. So sometimes when your computer just can't keep up with those demands, like upgrading your GPU is a simple way to boost performance. FPGAs are kind of a similar idea, except they're programmable on the field, so they can like customize it to the needs of the situation out on the field. They're often useful for giving data centers a boost in power, though Xilinx is also well established in the communication industry, touching into markets like 5G. This is really neat because a lot of this communication equipment is built to be used for like 8 or 10 years, so you end up with really sticky customers and really long-term relationships. Xilinx is often looked at in the industry as the leader in adaptive computing. So typically when you're buying a computer, you're looking at how many cores the CPU has, the gigahertz, RAM, storage space, and different characteristics of the computer like that. But adaptive computing makes it so these performance characteristics can be changed on the field. As the leader in adaptive computing, Xilinx boasts a market cap of about $30 billion and has been continuing to grow steadily over the years. A quick glance at the income statement over the last several quarters shows generally growing gross profits with generally growing net incomes. A look at the balance sheet shows similar results, kind of slow and steady progress with conservative debt and liability loads too. The statement of cash flow isn't quite as straightforward. It'll take a little bit more work to understand clearly, I think, because the investments vary so drastically each quarter. If you can help me out with that, let me know down in the comment section. By the way, if you like super simple access to financial statements and key ratios, or if you're just looking for investing ideas, tools, trackers, I super recommend Benzinga. I've used them for a while. Link down in the description if you want to check it out. So onto those key ratios, we see a not actually that low EV to EBITDA ratio of almost 30 for the last 12 months, with a PE of 35 and a price to sales ratio of 9.7. I don't think that's anything necessarily to write home about, but it's not like a ripoff either for AMD, who's purchasing the company. But the really neat thing for AMD in this agreement is that it's an all-stock agreement. There's no cash involved. The enterprise value of Xilinx at the time of the transaction has been decided to be about $35 billion. And so Xilinx shareholders will each receive roughly 1.7 shares of AMD stock for every Xilinx stock that they own. The deal will be immediately accretive to AMD shareholders, and it'll hit the EPS positively right off the bat. This doesn't take into account any of the potential savings or synergies that will blossom in the future down the line. It's just right off the bat, automatically EPS is going up. A lot of times when you're looking at mergers, it's kind of we hope that, if we can figure out how to merge smoothly and then figure out these other synergies down the line, hopefully this will pay off in the long term. But we don't have any of that kind of uncertainty with this deal, which is pretty nice. So AMD should be able to boost their 46% margins and also grasp increased operating leverage as well from this deal. Some of these bonuses should spill over into even stronger data center offerings and partnerships, as well as allowing AMD into the still growing 5G market, which I talk a lot about in my Nokia videos if you're interested in that stock too, another undervalued gem. Xilinx's FPGAs and other products also will grant AMD access into such markets as defense, which is fabulous and often provides extremely sticky and price insensitive agreements, as well as more access to sectors like factories and manufacturing, which is another rapidly evolving chunk of the whole world, basically, and also aerospace, which unfortunately, due to obvious reasons, is, I think, the least growing segment of Xilinx's business. That whole aerospace world is suffering, obvious, for the last couple of years, but I think this can grow into more synergistic possibilities for AMD going into the future. Shareholders for both companies have already approved the deal, and the final hurdle to be jumped is Chinese regulation. Because both companies are international players, China's government could technically put the brakes on the deal, citing anti-competition. And in the past, when other companies have tried similar mergers, in some cases it took multiple attempts to get things through the Chinese kind of approval process. Hopefully, if things work out okay, the deal should wrap up late this year, but that is one of the risk factors to consider. Like, they could just shut the whole thing down and it doesn't happen. In another video I just released examining the products, market position, and stock valuation of AMD versus Intel and Nvidia, link up here and down in the description, I spent some time breaking down why AMD is, in my opinion, a better investment selection at this moment. While AMD is by far bigger than either of these companies, they did just manage to pull off an acquisition of their own of ARM for $40 billion. In comparison, many argue that there's no way AMD's Xilinx move can bring the kind of value or multiplicative benefit that Nvidia's deal with ARM can. I'd like to hear your thoughts on that in the comment section too. And while this deal will definitely and clearly bump AMD's valuation and bottom line figures up, do you think the Nvidia ARM deal will provide more bang for buck for Nvidia or Nvidia's shareholders? What do you think? I'm not sure it will, but I'd like to hear your thoughts on that. One fascinating counterpoint, which is like a little bit tangential to what I was just saying, but one fascinating counterpoint in the most recent conference call with CEO Dr. Lisa Su was like numerous investors were like, dude, what about ARM? What about ARM? Aren't we just going to get wrecked by ARM? What do you think about that, Dr. Su? And her response was just like so like not flustered. She was so calm. She's like, AMD's designers are familiar with ARM, and if their customers require ARM processing, they're capable of providing that, but they're also capable of providing potentially superior custom or semi-customized options as well. Her poise was like, she's just like, not that worried about it. Well, meanwhile, the investors are just like, dude, what are we going to do? Oh my gosh, we're screwed. She's like, no, don't worry about it. So let me know what you guys think about this acquisition, as I'm sure there have to be other downsides I haven't even considered yet. Overall, I would say I'm pretty pleased with the potential new deal and potential for growth that this could bring AMD in the coming quarters and years. Please also join us over on Patreon too. I'd be happy to share more of my moves, what I'm doing, and also to connect with you on a deeper level. But most importantly, remember to stay generous. I love you guys and talk to you soon.